We now move on and we stay in the region, and US President Donald Trump has offered to mediate the long-running dispute between Egypt and Ethiopia over the Nile River waters, saying Washington is ready to restart talks on the controversial Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. In a letter to Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Trump said no single country should control the Nile and disadvantage its neighbours, while warning the dispute must not escalate into a military conflict. Ethiopia says the multi-billion-dollar dam is vital for power generation and economic growth, while Egypt argues it threatens its water security as the country depends almost entirely on the Nile. Trump said US-led mediation could help guarantee predictable water flows during droughts, while allowing Ethiopia to generate electricity, adding that fair, transparent negotiations could deliver a lasting agreement for all Nile Basin nations. This is a long ongoing dispute between Egypt and Ethiopia. Of course, the Nile River, the largest river in the world, of course, remains a point of contention, and we hear that Donald Trump is intervening here. He's written a president to El-Sisi, the leader of Egypt, and said that he does not want this conflict between Cairo and Addis Ababa to escalate. Of course, we will see how this continues to play out. We'll see if the Egyptian leader does indeed make a response. And of course, there is this controversial Ethiopian Renaissance Dam that is currently being built. Of course, the two North African neighbours will continue this diplomatic dispute. Donald Trump, of course, offering to mediate once again, where we have seen him handle the diplomatic negotiations between countries in Africa before. Of course, he did the same with the Congo and Rwanda after M23 rebels backed by Rwanda took certain parts of the Congo. But the continent of Africa, of course, not the most familiar area for Trump diplomacy. However, he has got history in it. So we're now joined by Shruti Dasgupta. She's an international affairs analyst. She joins us live from New Delhi. Shruti, thank you very much for joining us. Of course, this is not an armed conflict yet, Shruti, between Egypt and Ethiopia. How serious is this, and is it likely to escalate into one, given, of course, that the United States did not intervene prior to this?
Well, it will surprise you. This is one of the 8 wars that Trump keeps talking about that he stopped. So this is one of the disputes he supposedly already solved. And surprise, surprise, it's been unraveled again. And people, the Ethiopian head has already said that Trump had nothing to do with it, despite his claims earlier also. Right now also it is the Egyptians who are finding favor with Trump and his policies and his statements, because Trump's statement is that nobody should control the Nile's water all by themselves. Strangely enough, he wants to control the Western Hemisphere, but somehow one nation who is trying to put a dam which does not really stop the flow of water, but kind of has a different effect on it. It has a zero-sum effect, as in you have to, the water accumulates, its flows, so the downflow gets affected by the amount of water that flows at not regular intervals. So there is an impact definitely when a dam is built, and Egypt is scared that that its water supply is going to be affected. So they want intervention, and Trump is taking their side from what I can understand of his statements as of now. It can bloom into a bigger issue, but I doubt water wars as such, which India and Pakistan and themselves are fighting. It's more of a diplomatic war rather than an armed conflict. And I don't think it will escalate into one, at least not very fast in the near future.
And you've said Donald Trump claimed to have solved this one before, not necessarily a war, as he calls it and cited as one of his 8. What does this say about the United States and the Trump administration's negotiating tactics when it comes to peace? Of course, we've seen multiple of his conflicts unravel. We've seen violence after the Gaza ceasefire deal. We've seen the Thai and Cambodia conflict flare up once again. However, and so what do you think about this, the negotiating style of Donald Trump?
Every single peace that Trump claims to have negotiated has problems in it. Every single nation that he supports ends up going back for more support and asking for re-intervention. And this is something that we are witnessing again in this particular case.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's rushed?
No, because he seems to think that just because he said it, there's peace. He calls himself the peace president, but there is nothing peaceful about him or his theories or his policies. And his actions of late have proven that there is no peace in the Trump regime. He projects himself as the peace president. So he says, I've spoken to those people, and probably diplomatically they've said, okay, yes, we'll talk it through, or we agree with your point of view, but they don't really put it in action. He claims that it's all done and sorted. He's dusted his hand. And within 24 hours, I think there are so many of them that have walked back on the words that Trump says. It's embarrassing for most people. I think any other nation head would be really, really red in the face with the number of peace that he has negotiated unraveling. But for Trump, it's just, they decided to start again. I'm going to go in tariff, I'm going to go in sanction, I'm going to go and talk to them again. And he's going to try in the best possible angle for himself, his particular, family business, as well as what he can get most out for his business friends in USA in those particular conflict zones, rather than actually finding an end solution to the origin of the conflict, as well as whatever is troubling the people of that place.
Shruti Dasgupta, thank you very much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to talk to you on these issues. Of course, we'll keep